do what you love. It's a hard thing to do, you know, making decisions based upon your feelings and not other people's. And, that took me a long time to learn. I'm still learning it. But let me ask you this, right? So if you say you consider yourself like a people pleaser, right? Can you name 5 people that are actually pleased with you? Can you name an instance where thinking in the benefit of others has benefited yourself? Odds are you probably haven't been able to do that, and that's not your fault. I'll say that again. It's not your fault. But today's video is about doing what you love, right? Doing what fuels you, making yourself happy, focusing on your health as opposed to the health of somebody around you. And it's not a bad thing to be caring. It's not a bad thing to have those qualities. Those are great qualities. But you can't allow yourself to necessarily drop those walls and focus on other people before you focus on yourself. And a lot of people say all the time, you can't love somebody until you love yourself. And I don't know that I fully agree with that. I think it's situational, 100%. But for the most part, that's not a ridiculous thing to say. It's not ridiculous. But at the same time, I've loved people. You've probably loved people, and that's okay. That's good. But the only way that you can have, real love and the love that you desire is if you take some time out and start to love yourself. You have to appreciate yourself before you can appreciate anybody else, because then it becomes a dependency thing. And, I've been there. It's hard to get yourself out of, and ultimately, with dependency comes pushing people away because you're wrapping so tight around them. And eventually they just need to break out, and that's how that goes. And so I'll say it again, you can't love somebody without loving yourself. And that's hard. It's not an easy thing. Lots of people want to love people, but if you don't truly love yourself, how are you going to give those feelings to somebody else? And so back to my point of doing what you love, right? At the end of the day, the only person that you really always will have is yourself. And so doing what you love above all else is crucial, because, picture yourself in 20 years. I'd be 38. What am I doing in 30 years? If I'm unhappy with what I'm doing in 30 years, then what the hell, And so this goes for anything, not just careers, not just school, but everything. Do what you love, right? These videos don't get views. I get maybe 10 viewers, maybe. But for me, it's the love of the game. I love helping people, and I love being there for people. And it doesn't mean I'm going to give up on this. One of my buddies, he was talking to me the other day, and he was just like, man, I want to do this, but, there are this many things that are preventing me from it. I asked him why, and he couldn't give me an answer. He wants to do X, but, the thing blocking him from that doesn't exist, and it's all in his head. And so a lot of that comes with just doing it. And it's not going to be easy at first, but it is natural to feel weird. It is natural to think that doing things for yourself is wrong. That's how I feel, at least. For the longest time, it was always everybody first and then myself second. And granted, I still kind of think that way, but once you start doing things for yourself, you start putting your health first, your mental health, physical health, once you start surrounding yourself with better things, things do look up. And for the longest time, I was stuck in this cycle of, not necessarily knowing what to do. And a lot of that came from just, how can I please everybody else? But the question I should have been asking myself was, how can I please myself? And that sounds weird. Don't take that the wrong way. But you know what I mean. How can I fulfill myself? And ultimately, you're not going to fulfill yourself unless you do what's right for you, in your heart and in your mind. And a lot of the times they don't align. And that's where you just have to trust your gut. So you get the mind, the heart, and the gut. At the end of the day, do what your heart and your gut want. Because your mind's going to think about money. Your mind's going to think about having a good time. But you can't have a good time unless you're doing what's right for you. You know what I mean? So I'll use myself as an example. There was a certain career field that I was looking into going into, and the more I think about it, the more I'm at school, the more I realize, hey, maybe that's not what I want. And that's hard to come to terms with, the thing that you spent so much time wanting, and then suddenly it's like, it's not for me. But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. And making those decisions for yourself is a good thing, because all you're doing is helping yourself. And it's hard. It's very hard to do things for yourself, and I know that firsthand. I've always put other people before me, but I could not tell you 5 people that I've pleased. I'm a people pleaser, but I can't. And it just doesn't work that way. And as hard as that is, you've got to do what you want to do, man. And that sucks. It doesn't suck. It's great. It's a beautiful thing, but it's hard. It's very fucking hard. But how are you supposed to live a life of fulfillment if you're not even doing what you want to do? You're not even with the people you want to be with. You're doing other things, Just do you, man. Do what drives you, And it's going to be hard at first. It's going to be hard to start doing things for yourself. It's going to be hard to put yourself first, especially if you've dug yourself in that hole of putting other people first. Because those people are looking down at you and they're like, oh, give me more. And you're just digging yourself deeper. And that's the hard part. You can't do that. And it's very hard. And there's nothing wrong with you if that's you. Being in that situation is normal and it's okay. But what you have to do is you have to look forward and look at what you want to do. You just got to do you, man. You got to you got to be okay with yourself. You got to be okay with what you're doing for yourself. You have to trust yourself. And all these things are theoretically easy to say out loud, a little hard to do yourself, It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Nobody said that. But just trying little by little every day to put yourself first and do your thing. Do you. And eventually it'll feel natural and it'll come to you like it's nothing. And it'll be great. And it's hard. And, it's something I've had to learn very recently. And I put all my time into other people, and that's okay, but what that does is that doesn't bring them closer to you, that pushes them away. And this isn't necessarily about other people, but it's hard. It's very hard. But you'll get over it, and you'll be all right. It's not an easy thing to do, putting yourself first. It's not an easy thing to do, looking out for you instead of the people around you. And maybe you've never struggled with that, maybe you do. From my perspective, I've struggled with that. And I know how difficult it can be to dig yourself out of that hole, but, we're getting there. I'm not perfect. I don't have it all figured out. I'm 18 years old. Nothing. I got nothing figured out. But all I know is that things will trend upwards when you start to appreciate yourself, do what's right for you, and just be you, man. Don't go out and do this, and this just because you want people to like you. You want to fit in. You want to make them happy. Whatever makes you happy, man. Whatever drives your boat. What pushes your sails, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not gonna You're not going to find fulfillment out of, making other people happy forever. Maybe it's temporary, but at the end of the day, at least in my experience, I still go to bed and I still feel pretty bad some nights. And that's normal and that's okay. Because all that matters is that you try and that you do you. And I'm going to keep saying that. It's not easy. It never will be easy. But I was told by somebody very smart one time that, you just have to do what's right for you, or you can't do anything for anybody else. And, at first I was like, man, I don't believe that. Like, I'll be fine. But, the longer you sit with that, the longer you sit with the hopes of self-fulfillment but not acting on it, the harder it gets. And I've learned that very recently too, and it's hard. It's very hard. But at the end of the day, it's okay. Because, here you are now. You have the chance to do something for yourself. It can be something big, it can be something small. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just do something for yourself. Go for that walk. Walk your dog. Ride that bike. Play a video game. Go get dinner. Call your friends, call your mom, call your dad, call your family. Pet your dog. I don't know. Do whatever you need to do. Do what's for you. Don't skimp out on yourself for other people. And that's hard. Because for the longest time, for years, that was me. And it's hard. It's hard to get out of that hole, and I'm still not all the way out. I'm still climbing up. But, that's something I wish I would have realized sooner, was that, at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. And I would have saved myself a lot of hurt. Maybe that's not anybody else's fault. It's nobody's fault. But, it's okay. It really is. And it will be okay. And nothing that you're feeling is invalid. And I know that's cliche, whatever. It's okay. You just gotta do you. You gotta do what's right for you. You gotta learn to love yourself. And it takes time. It really does. But at the end of the day, you gotta do what you love, man. And that's not easy. It will be, though. It comes with time. Just do you. It's only been just recently that I've learned any of this. And you think after 18 years I'd have it figured out, but I don't. And that's the truth, is some people don't figure it out for longer than that. But, all that matters is that you try. Try to put yourself first and try to be there for yourself. Try to care for yourself and love yourself enough so that way in the future, when the time is right, you'll be able to, project the love of yourself outwards onto other people. And say it's a love interest, that's great. And I'm not saying don't go for anything, even if you don't love yourself, but most definitely learn to appreciate your own value before you seek it in somebody else. And that's hard sometimes. It doesn't always work out how you'd expect it to, but that's okay, and it's not your fault. It's not anybody else's fault. You just gotta do you, man. Just gotta do you. Do what you love. It's gonna be okay. And I know that's hard. I know it's hard, but yeah. That's all I got for today. Gotta make some money later. Doing something for me. Stay safe. Have a good night.